Oh, that's still delayed.
Yep. Oh, yeah. We're live. Let me double check our sound real quick on the stream because I had made some adjustments. That sounds good. Testing. All right. We're live. You ready, Josiah?
I am ready.
We're live in week 14 in the NFL. This is our Start Sit show where we focus on season-long fantasy football. What are you doing?
I am posting on the Fantasy Life
Field?
app. Yep. I'm ready to go.
All right. The first thing we're going to talk about this week is waiver wire pickups. Potential dudes that can help you and your struggling fantasy football team.
Total opposite of last week, right? Last week it was just packed with good options, and
Yep.
this week is
Kind of hard.
if you need one of these guys, don't count on too much.
Don't count on too much. Let's see here. Let's do. I'm trying to find. The iPad looks different than the phone. I'm trying to find the scoring, the best scores.
Oh,
the
you're
week.
on the app.
Yep. Oh wow, that dude.
On the iPad, it's usually a little better, I think.
Deontay Spencer got -2 points. So if you started him,
Deontay Spencer, I don't even know who that is.
I didn't know who he was until he just pulled up.
He sounds like a defensive player.
All right, so the first guy we're going to talk about today is Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
I'm not sure if I said his name correct, but he had
I think
12.
it was close.
Yeah, it felt pretty close. He had 12 targets this past week, caught 10 of them for a touchdown and 86 yards.
Yeah.
Detroit Lions had their first win on the season, and it was because this guy caught a touchdown in the last 5 seconds of the game.
Yeah, in my opinion, this guy's usually the most interesting waiver wire guy this week because he's a rookie who's been getting integrated into this offense. He's gotten a decent amount of target share really the whole year.
Yeah.
It's just that Jared Goff is bad, and
He's real bad.
I don't know if they're going to improve and keep getting him involved, but usually rookies second half of the year take quite a big jump from the first half of the year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's a guy that has some talent, and maybe he starts a connection, gets something going. He's worth a flyer, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is his first real week where he produced. The weeks prior, he had 6 targets, but he's been getting at least 5 fantasy points a week.
He's easily the top targeted player on that team.
Yeah.
Whatever that's worth, it's still the Lions.
Yeah. So I mean, I assume that they're gonna keep passing the ball a lot, and he seems like the dude that they're going to focus on.
Yeah.
I gotta fix the iPad real quick.
Yeah, he's at least the number one on that team. It's just determining what that's worth.
Real quick. There it goes. Oh, everything I just did in the last
What happened?
just super behind,
Oh, I see. It's catching up.
but it's catching up now.
Weird. Why does it do that?
I don't know, but it's catching up. It's almost there. I'll just leave it.
It'll catch up.
It'll catch up.
But yeah, next guy on our list is Russell Gage, right? And he's close to St. Brown in my opinion because he's kind of a similar type of player. He's the number one on his team, right?
Right.
It's just
Number one.
just determining what that's really worth on a not very good team and a mediocre talent of a player.
I actually liked Russell Gage early on in the season, but then he kept on. Or once we found out that Calvin Ridley was out, I thought that he'd be a lot more involved.
But he really hasn't been.
He hasn't been. No, he's been pretty disappointing. Except for the last 2 weeks. I mean, the last 2 weeks he had 15.2 points against Jacksonville in Week 12, 7 targets, 6 receptions, and then in Tampa Bay it's 12 targets, 11 receptions, 130 yards for 16.5 fantasy points. Only 25% owned across ESPN leagues. And St. Brown, I forgot to say this, he was only 6.5% owned.
How owned is Gage?
Gage is 25.2.
It's a little higher, but they're both still pretty low. They're
Yeah.
pretty widely available. Which one do you prefer?
I think I'd probably.
Let's say you have to start someone next week. Which one do you prefer?
Let's see here. Gage is playing Carolina, and St. Brown is playing Denver. I'd probably go with Gage.
Yeah, Gage is probably better playing next week. I don't trust Detroit against Denver very much.
No.
I definitely don't trust Jared Goff.
No, I don't trust Jared Goff.
Matt Ryan is certainly better than Jared Goff.
He is, but he still sucks.
Yeah.
Because he can't get the ball to Kyle Pitts.
That's what's interesting about Gage is he pretty significantly out-targeted Kyle Pitts the last couple weeks.
He absolutely did.
And I don't know if that is a trend that's going to continue or not, but if it is, maybe Gage is going to be a guy worth having for your fantasy playoffs. I don't know.
Yeah, especially if you're hurting a wide receiver. Kyle Pitts, he got 7 targets last week, caught 4 of them, and he almost had a touchdown. But Gage was definitely out-targeting or getting more targets than Pitts was.
Is Kyle Pitts still a top 5 tight end in your opinion rest of the year?
I feel like he's got to get there at some point. I mean, he looked very good. He had a touchdown, or he would have had a touchdown if he would have kept his feet from going out of bounds. So that would have been like a 13, 14-point fantasy day.
So you think he's top 5?
I don't know. I don't know if he's top 5 because he just is not doing what anyone thought he'd be doing. He had those 2 weeks where he scored 20 points consecutively, and then everything past that's been like basically nothing.
Let's see real quick where we think he's at. Because at the beginning of the year, he was probably about top 5, right?
Yeah.
And right now, so Kelsey's ahead of him, right?
Yep.
Kittle.
Let's see here. Do you want to do scoring overview?
Yeah, if you want to look at it. I was just going to see how many players we can list that we like better than him.
Okay.
Kelsey and Kittle for sure, right?
Yep.
What about Gronk?
I think so, yeah.
Gronk over Pitts at this point.
Yep.
Mark Andrews?
No.
Really?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I don't love Mark Andrews by any means, but I think I prefer him to Pitts for the last 3 weeks of the year, 3 or 4 weeks.
I mean, probably. But, I mean, he's actually been more consistent than I remembered, at least the last few weeks. But it seems like he's the kind of guy that has like a 5-point week and then a 20-point week. And you
It's
never
actually
know.
been Pitts this year.
Yeah, and it's been Pitts. No. There's no up and downs. It's just straight down for 7 weeks for Pitts.
What about Darren Waller?
Yeah, I'd go with Darren Waller.
Okay, so that's at least 5 if we go Andrews. TJ Hawkinson?
I feel like they're about the same.
I'd go Pitts.
Yeah, I'd go Pitts.
I'd go Pitts because Hawkinson, I mean, he seems like a relatively safer play. Like, he's probably only going to give you 8 or 9 points.
Right.
But his ceiling just doesn't seem to exist because he plays for the Lions.
Yeah, because Jared Goff is throwing to him.
What about Dawson Knox?
Probably Pitts.
I think I'd take Knox.
Really?
I just think Knox is probably going to get 3 or 4 more touchdowns this year.
What did he score this week? Or was he on a bye?
They played
Oh, they played tonight.
They play tonight.
That's right.
But he just gets a ton of red zone targets, and that team's good. They're going to be in the red zone a lot.
Yeah.
I'd probably take Knox over Pitts the rest of the year.
I think I'd probably take Pitts because I still feel like his best gains are ahead of him. I mean, Week 14's got Carolina. Week 15, San Francisco, not the greatest. But Week 16, Detroit. And then, well, Week 17 is Buffalo, so that's not that exciting.
Yeah.
But that's exciting for Knox.
But after that, you gotta like Pitts better than everyone else at this point.
Yeah.
Actually, what about Dallas Goedert? That's an interesting one. He had a good game.
He had a great week.
He had a great week.
The best or the highest scoring tight. Oh no, he's not actually. George Kittle.
Oh yeah, George Kittle
absolutely
went way off.
killed
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
Kittle
and Goddard were the top 2 tight ends.
Yeah, Goddard and Kittle are the top on the week. Goddard looked really good. He got 6 targets, caught all of them, 105 yards and 2 touchdowns. If Gardner Minshew keeps that job, which do you think Hurts is in a situation now where he will possibly lose his job to Gardner Minshew?
I think they're on bye next week, so he'll have
Right.
2 weeks. Assuming he is fully healthy in 2 weeks, I think they'll go back to him.
Do you think they'll go back to Hurts?
I think he'll have a short leash. If he goes out and has a bad first half, I think they'll bench him for Minshew.
I mean, the team was so much more fun and electric or fun to watch and electric, and they were actually kind of scary in the air. With Hurts, it's just let's just hope he doesn't run, and that's
still
it.
been winning games with him.
Yeah, but it's been boring football.
Yeah, sometimes.
And he's bad. Hurts is bad. Hurts is bad at football. I feel like
I still think Hurts is pretty good.
Why do you think he's good? What has Hurts done other than run?
Well, that's still part of winning the game. He's good at that. He's better than almost everyone in the league at that. And he can still pass the ball. He has some games where he throws bad passes, but he has some games where he throws some great passes too.
So for since week 6, he's only had 1 week where he threw over 200 yards.
That's also sometimes just game script dependent. Like they get up a lot early in the game, and then he doesn't need to throw because he can always run for some yards, and they're just not in a passing mentality in that game.
Because he's bad at passing. They don't want to pass.
Well, they'd rather have him run if they can. He's better at that. I would not deny that.
But he's a quarterback. Why don't you just make him a running back then if that's what he's going to do?
I still think he's better than Minshew, but if he's out, I like Minshew quite a bit.
I do too. Minshew looked really, really good. He threw 12 passes.
At halftime, Minshew had like over 200 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and he
did nothing in the second half. But that's just the same thing Hurts has been having the problem with is just game script. They did not pass the ball at all in the second half.
He didn't have an incompletion, I think, until his 15th attempt.
Yeah.
It was, and his passer rating was above 130. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he had a near perfect passer rating, Gardner Minshew.
I like Minshew, man. When he was in Jacksonville, I liked him. Jacksonville doesn't make a lot of good decisions, but I think they could have easily held on to Minshew and built other places on that team to make their team better.
Yeah. Do you think that if you have Hurts, you need to pick up Gardner Minshew as a safety?
I think that's a great move. I have a league, our main league, where I have been riding Hurts all year, and I picked up Minshew as soon as I saw there was a chance he might not play because I think if Hurts is out, you can slide Minshew in, and he's going to be really good.
Yeah.
And even like I said, they're on bye next week, but in 2 weeks, if Hurts goes out and gets off to a rough start, they might bench him. That's been talked about all year.
Yeah.
So he's kind of on the hot seat at this point.
Which makes sense because he's bad at football. He's Gardner Minshew is only
he's still the 5th best fantasy quarterback.
Fantasy, but that's you put these pretty numbers on top of a bad quarterback. He's still a bad quarterback. There's 1 week where he had 100 passing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
That was
why would you pass if you can just rush for 3 touchdowns? Running is safer than passing.
It makes it makes it easy for the other team to beat you if they know that the only thing you can do is run. What's their record? Do you know what the record is?
6-6 or 7-6. They're in that middle ground range. I'm not sure.
But Gardner Minshew is only 5.9% owned across ESPN leagues. If you're hurting a quarterback and you need a backup, I feel like Gardner Minshew has a likely scenario of actually getting the starting job there before the end of the season.
Yeah, and we talked about Goddard. I think Goddard would benefit a lot from having Minshew, right?
Right.
Because
absolutely, 100%. Way more excited about Goddard with
I still think
than.
Goddard's the best receiver on that team. Devontae Smith is good too, but I think Goddard's the number 1 receiver on that team.
Yeah.
And with Minshew throwing the ball, I think that's a very valuable position.
Absolutely.
He likes to throw to tight ends. He threw to tight ends all the time in Jacksonville.
Yeah. And even though Devontae Smith, he only got 2 targets, I think, in the past week.
Yeah.
Even though he wasn't very involved, I'm still more excited about him with Minshew at quarterback than I am with Hurts because they have to pass the ball more because it's Minshew. Minshew's not known for running.
The one thing with Smith for Jalen Hurts is that Hurts is willing to throw the ball down the field to Devontae Smith. And he's pretty good at that, actually.
He had 2 weeks where he did all right at that.
They don't do it all the time, but he throws a pretty good deep ball. And I don't think that's quite Minshew's game. He's more of that mid-range passing.
I think the 2 passes, the 2 touchdowns that he threw to Goddard were kind of long. They were kind of down the field.
Like a lot of air yards?
Yeah,
or he caught it 15
yards
and then ran a lot after that?
I know at least one of them was
really?
A lot of air yards. We got a question here. What's up, fellas? I'm down 20 half PPR. Who should I flex, Stevenson or Myers? Assuming he's got a game tonight and he's down 20 points. He needs 20 points. And this is Stephen Drakes. Who do you like more?
Ramondre Stevenson or Jacoby Myers?
Yeah.
You need 20 points. I would go with Stevenson. Because Jacoby Myers is great at getting 10 points, but you don't need 10 points.
He's great at getting 10 points and not knowing where the end zone is.
Yep. But Ramondre Stevenson, we've seen that he has high upside. And if New England were to go out there today and feature him, which who knows if they will or will not, but there's at least a chance that could happen, he could put up more than 20 points.
If Bourne is on your waiver wire list, I'd pick him up. And
you play Bourne over Stevenson?
I would play Bourne over Myers at least.
If you need 20 points, maybe. But I would play Stevenson over both.
Is Stevenson the starter today? Or he's going to share work with
him and Harris.
Harris,
yeah. Who knows? It's still New England, so one week they go out and feature one guy. One week they feature the next guy. Next week they split 50-50. You never know what you're going to get.
Right, and they're playing Buffalo too. I feel like they're pretty good against the run, aren't they?
Well, Jonathan Taylor had like 5 rushing touchdowns against him.
Right, but that's Jonathan Taylor.
I'm just saying you can run on him.
You can run on him.
It's not a great matchup, but it's not a good matchup for Myers either.
It's not a great match. I feel like there's going to be more yards in the air today than there are going to be on the ground against Buffalo. I'd have to pick Myers, and that's...
You'd pick Myers?
Yeah, because
I thought you were going to say Bourne.
Yeah, but he doesn't. I mean, if he's on the waiver wire, I'd pick Bourne for sure.
Bourne's probably on the waiver wire.
He's their down the field target who has gotten 20 points more than once.
It's a half PPR. Look at our scoring and see how many times Jakobi Meyers has scored 20 points this year. I bet it's 0.
Let me see here. Yeah, it's. I'm pretty sure it's 0. Let me see. He has never scored 20 points. The most points he scored was 13.2. Bourne has done it twice, I think.
Yeah. So I
in
can
the last 3 weeks.
Going with Bourne over Myers.
Yeah. I'd go with if Bourne's on on the waiver wires, I'd pick him up.
But I would go with Stevenson.
I wouldn't. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I feel like you're gonna get 4 points from Stevenson tonight.
Who cares if you get 4 and 19? They're both a loss. He needs 20.
Yeah. So Bourne is the way to go.
I think Stevenson is.
I don't think so.
The one time that Stevenson got featured, how many points did he score?
He's not featured today.
He could be. We don't know.
Damian Harris is not injured. Let me see.
Yeah, but they could still go with Stevenson. New England does that kind of stuff all the time.
Last week, Harris got 11 rushing attempts, 40 yards, 1 touchdown, and then Stevenson got 9 40 yards and no touchdown. Does he get the targets? He doesn't even get any targets. Damian Harris gets the targets.
No, Stevenson's a better pass catcher.
Oh, well, they both got 1 target last week, so I guess anything could happen, but I'd feel the most confident going with Bourne if he's on your waiver wire. And if he isn't, I don't know. Maybe Myers. I'd probably have to go with Myers because
Myers never scored 20 points in his career.
It hasn't happened yet. But who's to say it can't happen today?
It could.
I feel like it's more likely than either of those.
We know for a fact
the
chances are very low.
Yeah, the chances are low. It doesn't look good for 20 points from Jakobi Meyers. Okay. Let's see here. We talked about Gardner Minshew, who is a stud and is better than Hurst. Now let's talk about another quarterback, Taysom Hill, who is another quarterback that just runs and can't throw. But I like him a little bit better.
You like him better than Hurts?
I do like him better than Hurts because this is his first start in the year. He already scored he threw 264 yards.
That's
2 touchdowns.
They were losing by so much.
He still got to 200. That's one more time than Hurts has in the last 7 weeks. And then he rushed 11 times for 101 yards.
Yeah.
So
he's a very safe play.
He's a pretty safe play. He's only 35.9% owned across ESPN leagues. It's about to be the Taysom Hill show. He did just have surgery on his hand.
That's true. He had like the same kind of injury Russell Wilson had, right?
Yeah.
Or close.
It says here it was not as severe as Russell Wilson's.
Yeah, that's what I read.
So it's not a big deal. And plus, he still has his legs.
Yeah, that's all he needs anyways.
That's all he needs. So it might be less yards in the air, but overall, I feel like this is like a great fantasy football quarterback because he's gonna get you points in multiple ways.
Yeah, great play. If you have Jalen Hurts, would you pick up Minshew over Hill?
Yes, just for security reasons. Yeah. But if I was just picking between Minshew and Hill, I'd probably pick Hill. Especially if it's a keeper league. If there's like, and especially because I feel like it'd probably get more.
Do you like Hill better than Minshew?
Yeah, I do.
Then why don't you just pick up Hill as security for Hurts?
If
Hurts is out, you still got Hill.
Right. And Hill has some pretty good matchups. The Jets next week, Tampa Bay, Miami, Carolina.
Jets are a great one. He might run for 100 yards again, probably.
Probably. He's probably a pretty good person to pick up if you're in the fantasy playoffs and you don't have that great of a quarterback.
Yeah, I think I'd pick him up over Minshew.
Yeah. I just would pick up Minshew just because you're probably going to want – if you had Hurts, you're probably going to want to play him over Hill, right?
You'd play Hurts over Hill. Yeah, I'd play Hurts over Hill.
So
but we're saying
you're
picking up a backup
right.
just in case Hurts goes out. So it's whoever you like better, Hill or Minshew.
I guess so. I like Taysom Hill a little bit better. You could just do that, but I mean, yeah.
Also,
but I do like
Philadelphia's
well.
on bye next week, so you might need a different quarterback, such as Taysom Hill.
Right. But I like him a lot, and he signed a 4-year contract with the Saints, so he's not going anywhere for a long time. It was like what, $70 million or $40 million guaranteed, $70 million with.
Yeah, do you think they're going to start the year off with him at quarterback next year?
They must. I mean, they've got to. They paid him a bunch of money. Why would
That's
they
what
pay
it
him?
seems like.
Yeah. Why
That's
would
what
they pay him
says.
a bunch
Jameis
of money?
Winston, he is a free agent next year, so probably going to move on from him.
Oh yeah, I would think so.
Yeah.
They weren't that good. He was the same Jameis Winston he's always been.
Yeah,
Good some
true.
weeks, bad other weeks.
Yep.
So I think they're going with Taysom Hill for the foreseeable future.
Good. Definitely a good fantasy play.
Yep.
Don't watch the game because he looks kind of ugly when he plays sometimes. But
Taysom Hill.
yeah, he threw like 4 interceptions last week.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that. Let me see. It was a lot.
It was at least 4. It might have been 5. I think it was 4 though.
Cancel. Let's see here.
But anybody that can throw 4 interceptions and still put up that many fantasy points, you want to start them because that's basically their floor. Like they're not going to throw more interceptions than that.
Let's see here. Where did I lost this? Let me find Brett. I want to see how many interceptions he had. He had 4.
4, yeah.
So that was minus 8 points. Just imagine the points you would have had if you hadn't got negative 8 points from those interceptions. That'd be 35 points on his first
Probably
start.
would have added 10 points because less interceptions, probably would have got a few more yards.
Oh, yeah. All right, so our next person we're going to talk about is Tevin Coleman. How are you feeling about Tevin Coleman, Josiah?
I don't love Tevin Coleman, but we were looking for a running back to put on this waiver wire list, and there are very few good options this week.
Not a lot.
Tevin Coleman was the one that I chose to be the top one. At least he is the number one guy there for the Jets. He's probably going to get 10 to 15 carries next week. He might get a touchdown. So if you're scrambling at running back, say you got Jonathan Taylor on bye and you got to start someone, maybe you go Tevin Coleman.
Maybe he got what was it? He got 11 rushing attempts, 58 yards, 9.2 fantasy points, 4 targets, 3 receptions, 19 yards. So he does
not bad. 15 touches total.
15 touches total. He's 42% owned across ESPN leagues. If you're desperate, I'd pick him up, but don't be too excited about it because I certainly would not be. Actually, if you have to start him, I would feel sad about it.
I would feel sad for you.
because he's probably one of the best running backs that are available, at least in the waiver wire. What's up, man? Yep, doing it. Okay. Tevin Coleman.
Yep. I mean, what are the other running back options? We talked about a few of them, I think. Rex Burkhead wouldn't be that excited Coleman
about him
a little
either.
better than Burkhead.
Absolutely, because Houston's just bad at everything.
We know how much you like Kenneth Gainwell. He had a touchdown last week.
Right. Gainwell is not really a running back. He's a wide receiver with a running back tag on him.
Yep.
Because he never runs the ball whenever they're ahead. He's always the dude that comes in, catches short passes when they're running.
Gainwell could actually be a little interesting because Sanders got hurt at the end of the game.
He did. That's true.
I don't know how serious that was, but if he's out, all they got left is Gainwell, right?
They've got Boston Scott.
Well, he was hurt. He didn't play at all last week.
It doesn't say that he's hurt. He had COVID, so he won't be hurt next week or whenever they come back from a bye.
What if he doesn't? Oh, they're on bye. That's true. So he'll be good by then.
Yeah, because Jordan Howard's out there. I think
Jordan Howard's hurt, or I don't know.
Yeah, he's not playing right now. So I mean, Boston Scott would be the dude I think there, and Gainwell. I mean, we've seen this before. Miles Sanders went out early in the season. We all thought Gainwell would be the guy. He wasn't. In fact, I think he put up.
If they have someone else, they will use someone else.
yeah.
I was just thinking they might be out of options. Might have to go with them.
If Seattle decides to drop Adrian Peterson, he'll probably
pick him up.
Yeah.
So, and then Gainwell will be inactive.
Yeah.
That happened to him like 2 or 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah. So I don't feel. I mean, Gainwell is great if you think game strip's going to be in his favor, as in like they're going to drop the ball off to him a lot and do lots of passing.
He's good if every single other running back on the team got hurt. then he would be worth picking
Yeah,
up.
if he's the only option,
yeah.
then that's
Yep.
this is a solid.
But that's
pickup.
true for any running back in the league.
So yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's our waiver wires. The waiver wires are kind of thin this week.
Yep, not as good as last week, but sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, we are 1 week away from fantasy playoffs.
Yep.
So we wanted to talk about the top 5.
Before we do this, should we do this other question?
Oh yeah. Let's
do
do that. Let me pull it up here. Jack Keenan, he says, have to outscore Dawson Knox tonight in a full PPR by 29.9 points with Josh Allen, Diggs, and Buffalo's D in order to finish first in my league. Otherwise, my opponent will. Thoughts on my chances in point predictions? Okay, I feel like you're in a pretty good spot. He has Diggs,
So he has
Allen, Buffalo's D against Dawson Knox. And he's
30 points.
And he's
so
he's down 30 points.
I mean, I would say it's not heavily in either person's favor, but I would bet on you beating him.
I would think you're going to win. You've got Josh Allen, his number 1 wide receiver in Buffalo's D, who does a pretty consistent job at least scoring points, like decent points, between 5 to 10 points a week, if not 20 some weeks.
I would bet on Allen, Diggs, and Buffalo's D combining for 40-plus points.
Yeah, and then Knox maybe like 18.
I mean,
That's
I would
like
count
the
on
ceiling.
10 on
10,
average for him. Yeah, he has ceiling for a little more, but
I'd say you're going to win.
it's pretty even, but I would bet on you by a little bit at least.
It's definitely a scenario where you're going to be sweating for most of the night.
Yeah, it's going to come down to the very last play.
But if I'm a betting man, and if I could bet on you, I'd bet on your chances rather than on Dawson.
Yeah, I agree. It's looking good.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting. I'll probably think about that tonight and see if you actually won your league.
Yep.
Okay. Top 5 QB playoff matchups. So basically, we're going to list our top 5 QBs. Not necessarily skill-based, but skill-based plus matchups.
Yep.
These
We're
are the
looking at their
QBs.
matchups for week 15, 16, and 17.
Yeah. So these are the QBs that we think will be on the teams that win their league.
Yeah, this could have some value because if you're looking at a spot where you're locked into the playoffs, you might pick up one of these guys if they're available so you can start them in a couple weeks because they have good matchups.
Yep. Who's your number 5, Josiah?
Number 5 was Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
Yep.
So
Matt Ryan.
You think that Matt Ryan's going to turn around and become a good quarterback to have in the fantasy playoffs?
I think Matt Ryan is good in good matchups, and he has some good matchups in the playoffs. So I think you could definitely do worse than playing him.
He's had a rough few weeks. Week 10, 1.7 fantasy points. Week 11, 3.5. He was against Jacksonville, got 14.1, and then he just played Tom Brady and scored 14.9 fantasy points. He had 297 yards, just couldn't get a touchdown in the end zone.
Yeah.
But
who are some of his matchups in the?
His matchups week 15, 16, and 17. 15, he's got San Francisco. Week 16 he has Detroit, so that's
a great one. San Francisco's a good one too. Their defense is
they're not great. They're not that scary. So
their offense is good, so he's going to be in pass mode
it'll be most likely a high scoring week. And then week 17 he has Buffalo.
Yeah, Buffalo's not a great one.
No,
but the other two are pretty good.
Yeah.
So if you've been streaming quarterbacks, I think you could start Matt Ryan week 15 or week 16 and be all right.
Yeah, and feel pretty good about it. Let's see here. Has he played Detroit yet? He has not played Detroit yet.
No, they only played Detroit once.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you need to, you can start Matt Ryan on those weeks. I'm not that excited about him, but, week 16 at least, Detroit.
Yeah, that's definitely a great one. I think
Yeah.
actually 15 is just as good because San Francisco is going to force him to throw the ball a lot. Detroit might not do that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, number 4, Josiah.
All right, so number 4 for me is Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones.
Daniel
really?
Jones.
Why?
He's got a couple pretty good matchups. You can pull up his matchups and we can look at them. But I looked at their schedule the rest of the year. He's got some pretty good matchups, and he's got a good ceiling. He's a guy that's pretty good when he has a good matchup.
Yeah, he's
pretty bad when the matchup's not good, but
yeah.
that's all right. Don't start him in those games.
Pretty up and down. He at least gets you 10 points pretty comfortably.
Yep.
Which is, you could not say so for Matt Ryan. But week 15, 16, and 17, these are his matchups.
Yep.
He's got Dallas in week 15.
That one's not bad.
Not bad. Philadelphia week 16.
That one's not bad.
Not bad. And then Chicago week 17.
That one's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Chicago is not the
hasn't been that
Chicago
good
that we remember.
And they've been losing defensive players to injuries left and right.
Yeah. And he missed this week just because of neck tightness.
Yeah, he might. He may or may not miss next week. But beyond that, I'm sure he'll be fine.
I hope he doesn't miss next week. He's my only second quarterback I have. But I mean, looks like I'm still going to win this week, so it panned out all right. But yeah, I do like Daniel Jones for the end of the season a lot.
I think he could be a good little stash if you're trying to save a quarterback for a good matchup in the playoffs.
Yeah, and if he can get a healthy Kadarius Toney and Sterling Shepard, that'd make me like him even more.
Yep.
It seems like their whole team, I don't think there's been a single week where their whole team, or at least their offensive team, has been healthy. Maybe week 1, but I can't remember that far back. But it seems like either Sterling Shepard or Kadarius Toney are always injured, if not both of them.
Well, I think Toney's going to be back soon. Barkley looks healthy, which helps Daniel Jones.
Mm-hmm.
He's better when Barkley's healthy.
He's way better when Barkley's healthy.
Yep. So
Barkley's on your team. What did he get? Like 12, 13 fantasy points?
He didn't go off by any means, but he had like 12 or 13 fantasy points. It was rough. I mean, when you're in the backfield of Mike Glennon, there's only so much you can do.
There's only so much you can do. Actually, Kadarius Toney's biggest week was the week where Mike Glennon came in for an injured Daniel Jones.
That's because that's what Glennon's good at, the short passes, and then Toney was just catching them and flying by everyone.
Yeah, and just dodging everyone. But yeah, I think Daniel Jones is a solid number 4. All right, number 3.
Number 3 for me is Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yep.
That a lot of people that have been losing their fantasy leagues would probably really like to hear you say that.
Yeah, well, I mean he's had some bad weeks, but that's the point. He's probably on your waiver wire, and I think he's got some good matchups for the playoffs if you're looking to stream someone.
Yeah, he's 22.2% owned across ESPN leagues, so there's a 78% chance that he's on your waiver wire, available and ready to go. And he actually has my favorite matchups so far out of the ones we've seen. 15 against Houston, 16 against the Jets, and that's 17, not the greatest one, is against New England.
Yeah, that one's not great.
No.
But those first two are very, like top tier.
Yeah.
Those are two of the better matchups you can get.
I really like Trevor Lawrence is talented, even though it doesn't show in fantasy numbers.
He had a few good games early in the year, didn't he?
He did. He started out. I mean, his first game was his best game. He had 332 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. But I mean, he was getting stuff done. Everything past that is all right. His highest week past his first week, as far as fantasy points are concerned, was week 12 with 21.15 points. Everything else has been under that.
Yeah.
But I like his matchups. This could be a sneaky quarterback play that could really benefit your fantasy team just based off the matchups.
First 3 guys that we talked about, how would you rank them from 1 to 3?
I'd probably go Daniel Jones, Trevor Lawrence, Matt Ryan.
Okay. Yeah, Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence were very close for me. I thought they both had good matchups. They're both worth the stash. If they're both there, it's a tough one. I picked Trevor Lawrence by a little bit, but I couldn't blame you for going Daniel Jones either.
No, I feel like same thing with I can't remember who I said it with, but his best games are ahead of him. I mean, the rest of his season looks pretty good. Tennessee, Houston, Jets, other than New England, and then the Colts.
Yeah, so, he could get a little momentum building up with.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing Jacksonville actually winning games here soon.
At least seeing Trevor Lawrence look good, I think, would not be surprising.
Yeah. All right, number 2, the second best fantasy quarterback for the playoffs. Who is it?
All right, so number 2 for me is Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson, who had a pretty good comeback.
Pretty good game
this past week.
Yep. Against San Francisco, they're a pretty good matchup.
Yep.
They're a pretty good matchup for quarterbacks. But I think Russell Wilson, man, every week he's going to get a little healthier.
Yep.
He's going to get a little better. You can look at his matchups, but he's got some dream matchups.
Yeah, week 15 he's got the Rams. Week 16 he's got Chicago, and then the Super Bowl week for fantasy football players he's playing Detroit.
Yeah, you want him in there to win your Super Bowl right there.
Yeah, that is a magical set of.
And he could be on the waiver wire
there.
in a lot of leagues. How owned is he?
He's 87.7% owned. So
maybe not as much as I thought.
Highly unlikely, but
But if you're in a shallow league and you're looking to stream quarterbacks, I would pick him up. Don't look at his last few games and think that he sucks, because he's going to keep getting better. And in good matchups, Russell Wilson cooks.
Yeah, he's got Houston next week. I bet he is a killer.
He's going to be
week next week.
He's going to have a strong finish to the season, I think.
I feel like that too. I really like that call. His matchup, we already know he's good because he's Russell Wilson, and his matchups are fantastic. If you've got Russell Wilson on your team and you made it into the playoffs, I would be feeling pretty good.
Yep. Because you made it in with him struggling, and now he's likely to turn it around, and you're going to be looking pretty.
Yeah, he missed 4 weeks, so if you made it in, you've got Russell Wilson. Your team's about to get sent to the next level.
That's right.
All right.
Is he your favorite so far that we talked about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. 100% my favorite one we talked about so far, because we already know he's good, and he's got weapons around him, and his matchups, especially the main one that matters, which is Week 17, he's got Detroit. So that is, my favorite by far.
I think all of them are good, too, so he's going to have a good finish.
Yeah, I think so, too. All right, number one fantasy quarterback for the fantasy playoffs. What do you think, Josiah?
Number one for me is Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo, really?
He's been sneaky good this year. Really hasn't had that much struggles, and he's got just dream matchups.
He really does.
And their team has been good. And if Debo gets healthy again, he's got weapons.
He got dropped in our money league.
Kittle looks good. I know.
I can't remember. I think Sam dropped him.
Yep.
Actually, I can look at that right now. Sam dropped him on November 10th, and Bear Jordan picked him up for $36 on November 11th. Probably a pretty good pickup for him.
Yeah, that was good. But look at just his numbers recently. He's been pretty solid.
Yeah, solid.
He hasn't
20
had
points consecutively.
Any bust games.
Yeah, he played Minnesota. He had 15 points. Not terrible, but not great. But the rest of the season, there's literally not a matchup that isn't interesting. He's got Cincinnati on Week 14.
That's a great matchup.
He's got Atlanta Week 15.
Great matchup.
Tennessee Week 16.
Tennessee's a pretty good matchup.
Houston Week 17.
Yeah, and Houston's one of the better matchups you can get.
Yeah, and then the Rams Week 18. Which doesn't matter for fantasy football.
Yeah, it doesn't matter much unless you're in that kind of league, which change your settings next year.
Yeah, because a lot of the starters are going to be sitting.
Yep.
I like that call a lot. Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, there literally was not a team that I listed that I wouldn't be excited about him playing.
No, you can literally start him the rest of the year and feel good.
Yeah. He on average gets 20 fantasy points pretty much every week except for 3. Every other week he's gotten at least 20 points, and he's got his best matchups ahead of him. I feel like if you've got Garoppolo, I can't believe he's only 14% owned.
I know, it's crazy, right?
For as consistent as he is. I mean,
he's just very consistent, and he's surrounded with talent right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
George Kittle's healthy, looks great. Elijah Mitchell looks really good in the backfield.
Ayuk is turning on. He's got Debo Samuels. I mean, healthy in a couple
Samuel
weeks.
Might miss one more week, but he should be back. Hopefully, he returns to what he was doing. But
yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of weapons around him.
Oh yeah.
I feel pretty good about Jimmy Garoppolo being the number one fantasy football playoff scenario QB to own.
Yep.
Where's Matt? He's the best. This is Ashton Davis. I think he was on a walk when we started. He's so smart, but you guys are mean to him. Who is this?
Seems like a troll.
He is smart.
He's a great addition to our show. We wish he was here.
Yeah. All right, that's the top 5 QB playoff matchups. Now we're going to do top 5 free agents after this year. All right, Josiah. This is our last segment before we sign off, most likely. We're going to list the top 5 free agents, meaning that they're going to go somewhere. We don't know where, but we want to target them. And who is number 5 on this list, Josiah?
Number 5. Let's see. My number 5 is Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown, really?
Yep.
So why?
So actually, I'm going to group up just Tampa Bay guys because they have so many free agents. So all these guys are free agents next year.
Okay.
Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette,
Wow.
They're all free agents.
I feel like Fournette's probably going to stick with Tampa Bay.
You think so?
Yeah. I feel like Antonio Brown's probably going to stick with Tampa Bay.
You think they all will?
If they win again.
I think likely they can't afford all of them next year.
Antonio Brown will probably still do like the veteran minimum. Like if he's got too much baggage to really get anything more than that. Especially since
he's a pretty
he's dealing with another suspension that is
that's true.
COVID related.
He might not be able to get anything else.
But
I think that's an interesting one because potentially they could all go somewhere else. Or they could all come back. If they all come back, it means nothing different, right? Then they're still Tampa Bay. They still got Tom Brady. What's interesting to me is if all those guys leave, does Tom Brady come back?
Probably.
Really? But he won't have all of his weapons anymore. He'll have Mike Evans, and that's it.
Where do you think is his contract up after? Is Tom Brady's contract up? Was it a 2-year contract, or I thought it was a 3-year contract?
I think it was literally just a year-by-year contract.
Oh, year-by-year.
It's a player option every year, so he has the option.
Okay. Well, yeah. If everyone leaves, I have no idea where he's going to go.
I think if they all left, Tom Brady retires.
I don't think he's going to retire.
I don't think he wants to, but I think if they all left, I think he would retire.
We've thought that Tom Brady's going to retire for like the last decade.
I don't think.
And
Tom
you know
Brady...
what he's done every time? Not retire.
True. But he went to Tampa Bay and brought in all this talent to surround himself with. Very smart. But if that all leaves, does he want to stay? Just an idea, just throwing it out there. Could be interesting. Could be literally the same thing. They might all come back and be Tampa Bay again. Who knows?
Yeah. I would guess that they all come back for another year, especially if they get close. Even if if they win,
they're gonna get close. They're gonna make the playoffs. They'll probably make some kind of run.
They're probably gonna try to do like a three-peat if they win again.
If they win, yeah. If the one I'd be least sure about is Chris Godwin. He might want to go get paid.
Probably. No, yeah.
He's a very good receiver.
And
he could probably get a top-end contract somewhere else. So, he's kind of an interesting guy. If he goes somewhere else, it just depends where he goes, obviously, but it could hurt him a lot.
Yeah, it could.
Or it could help him. Who knows? Because right now he competes with a lot of people, but he has a great quarterback. But if he were to go somewhere where the quarterback's no good, I don't know if he would thrive in that kind of atmosphere.
How old is Chris Godwin? I think he's like early 20s.
Not very old.
Yeah.
I would say mid-20s.
Yeah, I would guess that he's the one that is most likely to leave if anyone.
He's the one most likely to leave, yeah.
But if everyone else sticks around, I feel like everyone's going to want,
Gronk's probably
winning.
just sticking around if Brady sticks around, right?
Gronk literally came back because Brady
he's just
went
doing
to
whatever
team.
Brady does.
Yeah, they're best.
He's going to call Brady
they're best buds.
Hey, bud, are we coming back to play next year? I'm just wondering. I'm trying to tell some friends.
Yeah. If Tom Brady retires, Gronk retires. I think that's a pretty safe call. All right, this one's interesting that you have listed. Do you want to just talk about all these guys instead of
I just listed a lot of them just because if there's any interesting ones, you can talk about them, or if not, then I can just kind of list my top ones.
Okay, I want to talk about this guy because this guy has surprised the hell out of me, and it's Cordell Patterson.
Cordell Patterson, yep.
And so he's going to be a free agent next year.
He's also pretty old.
He's pretty old. How old is he? Do you know?
In his 30s.
30s?
Yeah.
I wish ESPN would tell me how old he is.
Sleeper. Well, I'll look it up if you want to say something about him.
Yeah, because I remember, I think it was week 2. Week 2, he had a good week, and I just thought, it's fluky.
He had a good week 1, too.
He had 7.7 points.
Oh, really?
In our league on September 22nd, Ben paid $50 for him. He's 30 years old. He had that good week, and I thought it was going to be fluky. Turns out it wasn't. He is one of the highest scoring fantasy running backs on the year, and he's been killing it. He gets usage in every way you possibly could get used. He gets targets. He gets at least 10 rushes a week. He's been really good. He's 30, so do you feel like he's going to take this great year and be able to go somewhere and get paid?
I think if I were Cordell Patterson, I wouldn't go somewhere else. He's had a ton of bad years as a career.
Oh, yeah, that's why I thought it was fluky.
So I'm thinking if I just had 8 bad years in the NFL and 1 great one, I'm staying with the team that I had the great one with.
Do you know, I heard something this week when I was watching the Atlanta game that he plays at wide receiver, running back, and then he plays safety.
I saw that. Yeah. It was actually like middle of the season, like week 8 or 9. The head coach goes, he's so good, I might list him as safety on the depth chart this week. And then he did.
Yeah.
And then he played safety.
Yeah. It's crazy. And he's 30 years old. I don't know. Yeah, I would assume that he stays in Atlanta.
Do you think he'll be good again next year, though?
No, I don't.
I know. I can't bet on him being good next year.
But you never know. I didn't think he'd be good this year. So
I know. That's
we'll
how
see.
I feel too. I didn't think he would do it this year, and he proved me wrong.
Do you know
He'll have to prove me wrong next year because I'm sticking with my feelings of next year. I don't think he can repeat.
No, I don't think he can repeat. But do you know what I'll probably do next year? Is in like the 7th or 8th round, I'll probably draft Cordell Patterson. If he's still with Atlanta.
If he's still with Atlanta, he might be going higher than that.
Yeah, maybe.
If he is, I won't draft him.
No, I won't draft him.
Because I would
the first
easily
rounds.
take a chance on him in the 7th or 8th round next year.
Yeah.
But if you're talking like 4th round, no way.
No.
For me, at least.
No,
But somebody
yeah.
probably will. Somebody who had him this year and loved him because he was so good,
Yep.
like Ben in our league, would probably pay a 4th round pick for him next
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, or keep him for $50 because
Yeah, right. You might do
He'd
it.
have to. Yeah, he's been surprising this year, and he just keeps on being consistently good. Like
Yep.
you can rely on at least 10 points from him every single week. In fact, it's only happened once or twice in the entire season so far where he scored less than 10 points.
Yep.
Or actually less than 11 points.
He's been great.
Yeah,
I
he's
wish-
been pretty
I wish he
good.
was on more of my teams.
Yeah, he's on 0 of my teams.
Me too.
Just like Cooper Kupp, 0 of my teams. Okay. We talked about Leonard and Fournette. Michael Gallup so he's going to be a free agent next year?
Yep. Michael Gallup was a real interesting one to me because I think he's a very good receiver.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of behind a lot of other good receivers on a good team.
Yep. He's got Lamb, Amari
think
Cooper.
He's going to
Gallup.
want to move on. He's going to want to go to a team where he can get featured, right?
Right.
And we'll find out how good he is. If he goes to a team with a good quarterback, I think we might find out that he's very good.
Yeah. And
He
I
could
might
be a guy
regret trading him in the Dynasty League. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, it depends where he goes, obviously. But I think he has the talent to, if he goes to a good team, say a lot of these Tampa Bay guys leave and he goes to Tampa Bay, he would be a stud next year, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, he looked pretty good. What was it last week or the week before? And I started feeling a little bit of regret because in
He
the
had that
Dynasty
great
League,
catch, that great touchdown
that
catch.
really
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
touchdown catch. Yeah. Ashton Davis, this has to be Matt. Says name 5 running
team is
backs you
dusty.
take before J. Will next year.
Can't do that.
Your team is
Literally
dusty.
can't name 5 guys.
All right, so Michael Gallup. I feel like he's gonna be. I feel like I could be excited about him in multiple places if he moves on from Dallas.
Oh, yeah. I think he could be a guy that has a great year next year
Yeah.
compared to what he did this year.
All right, Mike Williams. Is he gonna leave the Chargers?
Mike Williams would make a mistake if he left the Chargers because he benefits from Justin Herbert being very good.
He does. He does a lot.
So I think if Mike Williams went somewhere else, I would have no interest in him.
No, I don't think so either. Because he's been
He's very inconsistent
very
already.
inconsistent. He reminds me of Deshaun Jackson, as in like you're gonna
Yeah,
get 20
yeah.
points some weeks and 5
Yep.
others. At the start of the season, we thought that broke because he had consecutively like 20 to 30 points
In
a
like
week.
week 6, we were like, man, Mike Williams figured it out.
Yeah.
Can't believe we all missed on him.
He's finally like
Yep.
a superstar.
Yeah.
And then right after we all started feeling that
Then
way,
he had like 4 bad weeks in a row.
right after we all started feeling that way, he put up 1.6 fantasy points. Like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
There's Mike Williams. We found him.
Oh, that's Mike Williams. That's right. I remember.
I
him.
remember now. I remember why I didn't draft this guy. But yeah, I feel like it'd be stupid for him to leave the Chargers because I would be less excited about him. I mean, I'm not
Oh,
really
yeah.
that excited about him anymore. I mean, I tried hard to trade for him. Luckily, that all.
He's still a guy that
didn't
I
go
don't
very
really
well.
love getting because he's so inconsistent. But at least with the Chargers, he has those big games that make it kind of worth it.
Yeah.
If he went somewhere else, he would be even more inconsistent, and his big games would be even worse. In my opinion, he would have very little value at that point.
Yeah. So I think, I agree. His best interest would be stick with the Chargers
Yep.
because you go somewhere else, you're going to lose your opportunity to make money.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Allen Robinson, the guy in
Allen
Chicago
Robinson.
that doesn't want to be on Chicago.
Yep, he does not want to be there. It is very obvious. He's made it well known. He will go somewhere else. I can almost guarantee 100% he will not play for Chicago next year.
Yeah.
Which would be a good thing because they totally ruined him. In my opinion, he's a top,
You think he's still good?
I think he's like a top 8 receiver in the league.
Still?
Talent-wise, yes.
He's just not trying?
Well, I mean, it's hard to say because this year we haven't seen that at all, so maybe not. But based off of the last 6 years, he's like a top 5 to 8 receiver in the league.
Yeah.
And I doubt that his talent just went away this year.
Right.
So I think him going somewhere else is going to be good because whoever pays him, they're going to want to get him involved.
Mm-hmm.
He's almost guaranteed to have a better quarterback.
Right.
And he's had a lot of good fantasy years with terrible quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So
He was on Jacksonville, and then who else was he on?
Yeah, he had the Blake Bortles for a few years, and then he went to Chicago, and he's had, like, trash.
Wasn't he kind of good last year
in
Chicago?
He had 2 great years in Chicago, with bad quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And I think next year he's going to make sure that wherever he goes somewhere with a good quarterback.
Yeah.
Because that's what he's ultimately frustrated about. So wherever he goes, the quarterback's going to be relatively good, and I would bet on Allen Robinson turning around, doing what he did last year.
Ben in our league has a chance to keep him for $2.
It could work out.
Yeah.
Depends where he goes, but I would bet on...
If he goes back to Chicago, I would not keep him for $2.
He won't.
But
he absolutely won't go back to Chicago.
So, yeah, I mean, anything is better than where he's at right now. So.
That's pretty much how it is for him.
Yeah.
Like 31 other teams are better than the team he's at now.
Yeah. Okay, so this is my 2 favorites on the list to talk about because this is very interesting to me. It could benefit my Broncos, who have spent the last 7 years or so experiencing terrible quarterbacks. Don't ask the Broncos who is good at being a quarterback because they will always be wrong. Because we're bad at drafting quarterbacks. Anyways, we're gonna talk about Aaron Rodgers. He's gonna be a free agent next year.
Yep.
And where do you think is the most likely spot he's going to land? I have an opinion.
I think he could go to Denver. I think Denver's the most likely, in my opinion.
Yep.
I think there's a chance Seattle moves on from Russell Wilson, and I could see him going to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather see him go to Denver, but I think those could both happen.
I hope he goes to Denver. I hope he leaves Green Bay and he goes to Denver. There's already the weapons there. They've got Javonte Williams, Cortland Sutton, who sucks, but he doesn't really suck. Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant.
Great receiver.
Yeah. Just like all these players that could be at the top of the list.
Yeah, they have an
positions,
insane depth of talent.
If they just had a quarterback that can get to the ball.
Another reason why I think Rodgers will go there. I think he really wants to go somewhere where he's going to be surrounded with talent.
Do you feel like Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams are like Tom Brady and Gronkowski?
I don't think they're going to be on the same team next year now.
No, you don't feel like Devontae because he's.
I'm sure they would like to, but I think they both want to get paid next year.
Right.
And so I don't think any team is going to afford to play both of them.
Right. And if he goes to Denver, there's already the spot's already filled with.
Yeah, I think it.
Talent.
I mean, Devontae Adams is a great receiver, so I can't knock him, but he's got to be a bit of a downgrade next year if he doesn't have Rodgers throwing to him.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah. I mean, who knows where he's going to go? He'll probably go somewhere else. So it's not like he'll have Jordan Love, but it's got to be a little bit of a downgrade.
Yeah, I would say so 100%. No matter where he goes, I'll be less excited about it.
Unless he goes like Tampa Bay or something.
Right. Who was it?
But even then, he's competing with a lot more people than he competes with now.
Right. Who was it that happened to? So I had the same feeling whenever Diggs went from who was he on before Buffalo? What team was he on? I can't remember. Oh, Minnesota.
Yeah.
He was on Minnesota. He went to Buffalo, and I was like, I'm not excited about Diggs anymore.
Yeah, I was the same way.
And then it was better for Diggs.
Yeah.
Diggs was better. So I don't know. You never know with Devontae Adams, but still, that's how I'm going to feel about it.
He's in a great spot in Buffalo. We didn't really expect that to be the case. Josh Allen turned into a superstar.
Right.
And they don't have a number 2 receiver.
Right.
Like, Diggs is the number 1 with a superstar quarterback.
Yeah.
No wonder he's good.
Yeah, no wonder he's good. I really hope Aaron Rodgers goes to Denver. That would make all my dreams come true to actually see.
Yeah, I could see Rodgers going to Denver. I don't know where Adams will go, but
it'd be fun to actually see a quarterback that can throw the ball in Denver. We haven't seen it in nearly a decade. How long has Peyton Manning been retired?
A while. More than 5 years, right?
More than 5, maybe 8 years or something like that.
Somewhere in the.
See, I've been married for 9 years, and he retired after my first year of marriage. So at least 8 years.
8 years. There you go.
Denver has not had a competent quarterback for 8 years, and it's been painful.
Well, real quick, let's do a hypothetical where Aaron Rodgers signs with Denver next year. Where do you rank Jerry Jeudy?
In like overall wide receivers?
Overall wide receivers.
Probably like 4 or 5.
4 or 5. Wow. What about Sutton? You like Jeudy over Sutton?
Yeah. I like Jeudy over Sutton.
How much do you like Sutton next year if that's the case?
Probably like 15.
Top 12 or 15?
Yeah.
What about Noah Fant?
He'd be behind like all the guys that I already think are going to be studs until I see something. So it'd be like Kelsey, Kittle, Waller, Pitts, I assume is going to just keep getting better. And then maybe Goddard, Fant.
So like top 8.
Yeah.
He could be a sneaky one because he's super talented. He could easily move into top 3.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily draft him that way right away,
No.
but it could happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Are there any of those guys that you would maybe want to try to buy right now in a dynasty league with the thoughts of Rodgers possibly going to Denver?
yeah, I'd want to buy Jerry Jeudy, and I'd want to buy Fant for super low, probably, like for next to nothing. If I could get him for like
Ben has him in our dynasty league, and he doesn't want him.
Well, I can't trade right now. The trade
Yeah,
deadline's over, but I'd probably do
In a
it
few
in the
weeks you can,
offseason. Yeah,
As soon as week 17 is over, we can trade.
I'd try to do like a 3rd round pick for him. I'd totally do that
He might do it.
because I don't have any depth at tight end, and I feel like Fant, if just dreaming that Aaron Rodgers will possibly be there, I'd take a risk on it.
Denver's going to get a new quarterback next year regardless, right?
But if they draft one, I don't feel very good about it.
Yeah, true.
Because they're bad at it.
Yeah, they always try that, and they suck at it.
They're very bad at it. Doesn't matter if he's supposed to be the best quarterback in the draft class. If Denver picks him, he sucks.
Yep.
That's how I'm gonna feel.
Why are they so bad at drafting quarterbacks?
I don't know.
They got John Elway helping him out. He's pretty good at football.
He's pretty good, but he's not good at finding other
Doesn't
good
recognize
quarterbacks.
good players.
Yeah, it's painful. All right. Do you have anyone else on this that you want to talk about?
No, we pretty much covered most of them.
Yeah.
The only other one I had on here that we didn't talk about was Chase Edmonds because I wanted to get a running back on here.
Oh, right. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's see. Chase Edmonds, he comes back.
Chase Edmonds will probably play somewhere else next year. I think that Arizona's going to roll with James Conner.
Oh, yeah. I think so, too.
He's looked really good this year.
Yeah, he has looked really good. I was happy to...
Assuming he doesn't get a bad injury before the year's over, I think they stick with him next year.
Yeah.
And move on from Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds is probably going to be in a similar situation next year as he has been in this year where he shares time with someone.
Yeah.
But it means good things for James Conner.
Do you feel like for fantasy playoff scenarios, do you feel like Chase Edmonds coming back will actually have any effect on James Conner, really?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the last few weeks, James Conner's been catching more balls. I think that'll go away.
Yeah.
And he'll probably lose 5 carries a game.
I feel like whenever Chase Edmonds comes back, his job is going to be a little bit smaller.
Yeah, probably, because before he got hurt, he was getting majority of the work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely majority will go to Conner now.
Yeah, I feel like the majority is going to stick with Conner.
Yeah, I think it'll be like a 60-40 split in Conner's favor now.
Right.
And before it was probably that, but in Chase Edmonds' favor.
They're saying
Conner
here
always got
that
touchdowns.
Chase Edmonds is anticipating a Week 14 return, so that would be...
So he's hoping to be back next week. That's what I remember hearing as well.
Yeah, so that'd be the beginning of the playoffs.
Yeah, I would not want to play Chase Edmonds at all.
No.
I would still feel good about playing James Conner with him coming back.
Yeah.
I would temper expectations a little bit more, but I would still start him in almost every league.
Yeah. I still feel like James Conner has done enough to where whenever Chase Edmonds comes back, he's now Chase is the complement to the James Conner.
Plus, with Kyler Murray healthy, James Conner is going to get a lot of red zone looks.
Oh yeah,
and he's good at that.
Yeah,
and Chase Edmonds means nothing to that.
Yeah, James Conner still is has the most touchdowns out of all running backs in the league right now.
Yeah, he'll probably finish the year that way. And well, what about Jonathan Taylor? Is he close? He had like 4 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, 2 touchdowns last week.
Actually, you know what? I haven't checked that stat since last time I said it.
I bet Taylor's ahead now.
So Taylor might be ahead. I want to see real quick. Are you pulling it up?
I can pull it up.
Yeah, you just pull it up. But I am going to see how many touchdowns he's had in the last few weeks. Because in the last few weeks he's had, in the last 3 weeks he's had 7.
Taylor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
ridiculous.
8 because he also had a receiving touchdown.
Oh, I was just going to look at rushing touchdowns.
No, but just look at rushing touchdowns. I am curious to see if Jonathan Taylor's passed him. He probably has. Because he's just been ridiculous.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, it felt like it happened as soon as...
Jonathan Taylor's got 16. James Conner's in second with 12.
Really?
Yeah.
So it happened in pretty much week 11 when he got
Joe
those
Mixon
4 touchdowns.
also has 12.
Okay, so now he's tied for second with Joe Mixon.
Yep.
Wow.
But I think with Kyler Murray being healthy, he's going to get some more touchdowns.
Look at these stats: 32 rushing attempts
For Taylor?
2 out of 3 weeks
Yeah,
for Jonathan Taylor.
ridiculous. And all of them are like
ridiculous.
150 yards, 2
Yeah,
touchdowns, 4
143 yards.
touchdowns.
Yeah, it is just. It's like more than Derrick Henry. He's like getting even more volume than Derrick Henry did. It's crazy. All right, well, I feel like that's pretty much everything we have this week. Tonight, it's the Bills against
Bills and Patriots.
And the Patriots.
You got any predictions for tonight's game?
Yes, I do. I have a prediction, and that prediction is that Nick Folk is going to outplay Cole Beasley because that's what I need. This is my team right here on Week 13. I am trying to secure my playoff position, and tonight we've got Cole Beasley against Nick Folk, and Nick Folk is mine, and I'm playing against Beasley.
I need at least 0.1 points from Josh Allen. Do you think I'll get it?
Let's see. I'll pull yours out too. Josiah is tied in his game, and he only has Josh Allen. So as long as Josh Allen gets 0.1 points, he wins. But if Josh Allen forgot how football works and throws like 4 interceptions, that'll get him negative 8 points.
If he comes out and
he'll
takes
lose.
a knee, he'll get -1 rushing yard.
Yeah, if he just knees it the whole game, Josiah's probably going to lose. But highly unlikely, I would say. That the strategy is just for Josh Allen to knee it the whole time. That'd be pretty hilarious to see.
We just want you to take 1 knee, and then we're bringing in Trubisky.
Take 1 knee. Just okay, coach. What are we doing this time? Just knee it. We want Josiah to lose his fantasy league.
Heard he needs 0.1 points from you, so we just want you to take a knee, give him the loss, then we're just gonna let Trubisky play today.
What is all this? Matt, are you upstairs just making a bunch of YouTube accounts? We got Brian Cunningham. Where's the star of the show? By the way, Judy is a great buy. I almost thought that was WSOP with that hoodie. You know what?
World Series of Poker?
World Series of Poker. I see how that makes sense. No, Matt. Playoffs? Dusty is drawing dead. What are you talking about? All I need is Nick Folk to outscore Cole Beasley, and I'm up by 9 points. So Dusty is getting a little less dusty. All right, I think that's all we got for today. That was fun.
We will be back next week.
We will be back next week around the same time. I think we're going to try to keep Mondays being the days until football's over.
Future.
Yep. All right, that's it. I have to get out of the chair and go turn the stream off. Thanks for joining. We'll see you next week.
Nice.